All right, I'd like to say we're here looking at some mini splits working great. This single zone still working great. We put that to our master bedroom and we haven't had any issues with it. That was the one we installed originally when we didn't even finish the house yet. That one unit was basically cooling the whole house, you know, when the interior walls weren't done and there was no insulation or drywall. Still working fine, still dehumidifying fine. In fact, we've had to rely on that part of the summer when this started crapping out. Yeah, we noticed the evaporators were getting a light ice up on them, as if they were getting low after about 6 or 8 months. Getting a small ice up in the evaporator, like a low charge. This one, no problems at all. So after topping off, this one went right back, was working fine, no ice problems, no issues. I set the scheduling on it since the other unit cools real well. I was just having it cool during the day in the heat of the summer. You know, with the door open on our master, it would still keep the whole house dehumidified, cooled down all the way to the other side. This unit, slowly, after, I don't know, 3 or 4 months after the top off, it started doing the same thing all over again. So then we stopped using it altogether, and finally it's cooled down to the point where it's January. I'm like, all right, I'll get out there and start looking at it anyway. Well, the first thing I did, I noticed it was flat. There was nothing left in it. No Freon, nothing. Like, okay, that's strange. So I'm thinking, all right, there must be a serious leak then somewhere. So then at that point, I decided I'll go ahead and isolate each zone. Pressure. Keep in mind, this whole thing was pressure tested in the beginning to find over 500 psi, and then pulled down to 150 micron evacuation. Everything was fine. Everything worked great. Now, after testing the furthest zone, this one right here, which is our other spare bedroom, it's testing fine under pressure. I've got them put back on. They're just finger tight right now. Obviously, the system's empty anyway, but this one has no leaks. I pulled the second one off, which goes to our family room. It had a slow leak after, I set it to 500 psi. After about a timer of an hour, I came back out after an hour and it was down to like 425. So it definitely has a leak. And then this lower unit set, which is the shortest run, does our kitchen dining room area. This one, as soon as I put the nitrogen on, I got up to like 400 psi. The gauge was already, I would start off at like 100, then I'd go to 200, then I'd go to 300. And as I was going from 300 to 400 and I stopped, I looked at the gauge and it's just, slowly dropping. So obviously it has a big leak. So okay, well, let me start tracing it out. Keep in mind, look at these line sets. The one that's not leaking, not having issues, the copper looks fine. Doesn't look like there's any, well, I guess there's some if you peel that back a little bit. But like this line set it's all like brown, like black. Like, I don't know what the deal is with that. The same with this bottom one here as well. And then you get down here, then I started troubleshooting and I was like, okay, let me start at the easiest spot out here and make sure there's nothing simple. So I started just looking at the insulation, and then I got to here where it goes, close to going into the house. And I noticed this was all, it looked different. I got down, my head in. I cranked the air up to about, 450 psi, and I could hear something. I could hear it hissing. And as soon as I got down in here and got this cut off, peeled it back, I start looking at it. You look at it's weird. It's just black, like almost like the copper is already corroding. And obviously then I started seeing oil. You know, this is all covered with oil. This is all covered with oil. And then I soaped it up, and all along here, you know, all in this area, there's just pinholes. This is going under the slab, so I'm guessing I'm just seeing part of it. You know, there's got to be more leaks up inside there. Now, this one over here is the first zone, and then the bottom. So it's the two bottom ones are the two that I'm having all the leak on. This one over here is a slow leak. Then this one, I mean, just what I've seen already, I can understand why it's leaking so quickly. This one I have no leaks on at all. And then this is the functioning unit that's still working, single zone in my master, which I haven't looked at anything yet, and I'm not going to until I get this 3-zone back up and running. I'll just leave well enough alone. It's the shortest run. After reading what I have read, the little bit of information I can find, it's not looking good. It's looking like there's some known manufacturing issue going on with this this foam. Luckily these are plywood, so I'm starting on the ones. This is the closest one, the one that was leaking the worst, and it's actually the shortest run of that 3-zone system. And then you got the this one's the furthest. That's the furthest run there. And then on the other side of that door, on the back side of that one, is the one that wasn't leaking, which is another bedroom up there. Luckily on this one, and I'll show you in here, we also had plywood and in our bedroom, freaking insulation. But yeah, so before I pull this apart, I just started cutting the tape wraps off and realized, man, I should get some video. But so what I did, I have sleeves, 3-inch sleeves, go down about a foot below the slab, long 90, and then they go out, so 3-inch all the way out. I duct sealed everything, sealed it as tight as I could, then along with the insulation, wrapped everything with the sticky fiber insulation tape. Didn't have any sweating problems after that. In fact, I mean, you look in here, well, I mean, this has been off probably for I don't know, 2 or 3 months at least. So I guess you can't tell, but there's no water staining or anything like that. The sleeve, the thought was, the more you insulate here, along with whatever insulation you have in your line sets, is only going to help you. So you can see the foam right there. That's the end of that's the drain line right there. I'm guessing that's the drain line. But, yeah, I'll get it apart and then take some more videos. So my plan is to pull the shortest run out, since that's the one leaking the most. And then I'm going to try to pressure test that line set, cap it off, and just put it under pressure to find out how many leaks are actually in that. You know, if it's just one location where it's got multiple leaks, like pin leaks, or if it's like all along in different spots that it's got pin leaks. But I'll get some different video of that. All right, got the insulation cut back. None of this looked like that like a year and a half ago. These were brand new copper lines. I mean, shiny, bright. Yeah, if you look at that quarter line, I got one hand, but it's just black. You know, the flare nuts are black. There's no oil here like there was down there. I mean, the insulation was just saturated with oil. So you know, that leak that was blowing out there, or those leaks were just, I'm guessing maybe they started slowly as small ones. Maybe, you know, putting that 500 PSI on just created more leaks. I don't know, but it shouldn't leak like that anyway. But these, nothing up here looks like there's oil in it on the lines, and obviously it's indoors. So if moisture is creating the problem, there's zero moisture in here. I mean, you can see some water staining on the you know, the foam itself, but even then, I mean, it's a condensate line. That's what it does. It takes, it's taking, yeah, I understand how you can't have moisture in the foam. They're saying the foam's reacting with moisture. That's asinine. But anyway, neither of these flare nuts look like they're leaking. I'm gonna go ahead and break this loose so I can pull this out. There's no oil here. I had no leaks to start with. Everything was, you know, a year and a half ago, it was tested to 500 psi. Everything, all these were soaped. Everything was soaped. Pulled it down to 150 micron. It held for, I think I left it overnight. It was still like 200 micron in the morning. The next day, you know, everything fine, dumped it. It's worked flawlessly up until the summer, which was probably just about a year. And that's when we noticed the evaporators on the 3-zone system icing up a little bit. The fans were making a clicking noise. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe one of those flares came loose. I'm not messing with it in the middle of the summer. System was topped up. Everything was fine. I think, you know, like, I don't want to say like 2 ounces were put in. Everything was fine. Ice went away, icing problem. And then later on in the summer, you could tell everything was slowly degrading again. At the point, I'm gonna guess in October, we really didn't need it. This one 6,000 BTU in our master, if we leave the door open, cools and pulls moisture out of the whole house. I mean, realistically, I mean, if we didn't have all these walls when we were building, it did just that. To cut all that insulation up. See, I had it insulated down here, duct sealed, then insulated. I insulated the line set, then before I did the outside, pulled my length back out so that I've got, you know, tape wrap this, you know, a good, I'm gonna say at least 5 or 6 inches into the 3-inch. That way any condensate would end up in that 3-inch pipe, which is sealed if it, or, you know, it end up outside, basically. You can see inside the wall. This is on the back of plywood, birch plywood. I mean, it's dry, bone dry. You know, nothing in here is damp. Nothing's wet. Nothing even seems like it's wet. But yet these lines, they're black. I mean, you can see what it used to look like with the threads. And then just look at it. It's just, there's no oil on it. No oil on the insulation. No, you know, nothing. Nothing on either one. Where's the other one at? That's tucked up inside there. Right here. These, like I said, these were all tested ahead of time. Pressure tested, vacuumed down. This, you can see there's like, there's green. There's, you know, like actual, almost like it was a roof out in the weather for like, you know, 5 or 6 years. But still working at it. You know, but Sissy got in trouble. You digging out again, huh, Sissy? She's bad, huh? Where's that? All right, it's out. And in fact, if you look at this line, it's just full of oil. See how shiny that is? This is just nothing but oil. So all the leaks are all like right along here. I haven't cut it back. I'm gonna cut all this, take this foam off. I'm gonna loop them on themselves and then pressurize this and soap the whole thing and see what I come up with. All right, got the, and it's bright. This is going to be bright. Got it out. Where you going, Diggus? So I'll this was from about 2 foot out of the pipe to going inside the pipe. And I gotta cut all the insulation off, and I'll kind of coil it so that I can pressure test it and go from there. So, you know, looking at everything else, I mean, this was all up inside there. You can kind of, I mean, it's all looks like it's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You can see the sleeve. And the sleeve, it's got some condensation inside of it, but I mean, that's about, I mean, you can kind of feel, yeah, you can feel it, a little bit of oil in that water. You know, when I installed those pipes, even though they weren't plumbing, I also sloped them along, you know, with an 1/8 per foot, just like you would with normal 3-inch, just so anything that did possibly build up in there would just flow out. So, all right, this is leaking way worse than I even thought it would be. We're only at, I got it set at 200 PSI. I don't know if you can see that or not, but right now it's holding 200 with the, obviously with the tank flowing. As soon as I shut the flow off, it just drops. I'll keep the flow going. Turn it back on. And I can just run anywhere on here where it's really dark. I can just run the soap right along. This has got a lot of oil on it too, so it's acting like really sticky. Even right here where I kinked it, when I pulled it out, it's not leaking. I thought for sure you know, when I was pulling it and kinked it, it was gonna leak there, but it's not leaking there. As soon as you run it, you can, I mean, you could hear it just, the camera's not picking that up, but I'm gonna guess that you can see the bubble. It's just everywhere. It's like there's air holes everywhere, and it's not just one section. I mean, I can feel the air blowing, the nitrogen blowing on my hand right now. You can see it just blowing and blowing the soap right off. And this was all up inside my sleeve. From basically that clean spot right there was where I had some elastomeric tape. There was a break in the white stuff, and I filled that joint. Yeah, I wrapped some elastomeric insulation tape, you know, and then put the LS, what is it, LS 300 or 700 tape, the UV tape over that. And you can see where that elastomeric was at. It's, the copper's fine. You know, it looks like it should look. You go, as soon as the white insulation tape started, you go right to this, and it's just leaking everywhere. It's not even just a leak, it's just all leaks. And it's not just this one spot. I can move over to here, you know, and do the same thing. Just continue, it's just blowing bubbles. All the way up. I got 135 more feet of that inside my house that I've got to go tear out. The one line set that's not leaking, I don't trust it. I'm not gonna go put another, you know, 10 ounces or let's say 10 ounces, in a whole nother charge on the system, pay for that, and then turn around and have another one blow out. You got to replace it all. And it's all, I guess it's not even just one spot. Yeah, this is gonna be some serious. Yeah, they're gonna pass that on to their customer throughout the United States. They're gonna pass that crap on to you and tell you that there's a problem with your system. It's out of warranty. That's bullshit.